What's going on, guys? Patrick here, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how to install window tint on one of these doors with this like exit bar right across. Normally, if it's like one of the smaller bars, then what I can do is just unscrew one screw and then you can move the whole thing down out of your way. Super easy. But these ones, I don't exactly know how to take them off, and they're kind of a pain in the butt to take off, I'd assume, so seems like more work than not. So I'm going to show you guys my method in regards to be able to install this without removing it. If you come in, Zachary. So on each side, you're going to get one side that's going to give you a little bit of space. You see that? That's a little bit of space. If I looked on this other side right here, no space. I can't go through. I'm going to utilize this space actually to be able to put in some excess film into that area. Also, typically we usually add an inch to whatever measurements we are for standard windows. If it's 45, we add an inch, making it 46. So for these, excess film is going to be your nightmare. So if we come in over here and I'm looking at it here, we're at 26.5 inches. So what you really want to do is you don't want it any wider than it is deep. So this is at 7/8 of an inch. Let's call it 3/4, right? So you could realistically, I don't want to go any deeper than one side. So I don't want to be any longer than how it is deep on one side, not both. So at 26 inches, 26.5 inches, I would have cut this at 27, which we did. What that's going to do, it's going to be able to allow me to lay the film flat on one side. In this particular situation, it's going to be my right side, and I'm going to have a little bit of overlay, but nothing too crazy. Anything longer than the depth of the frame, it's going to end up starting to bunch up film, and then it becomes a nightmare. So you really just want to go maybe a 1/2 inch bigger than the actual measurement, but you cannot be any longer than the depth of it. So this is 7/8 of an inch deep, and I just added I added a 1/2 inch. So we should be in here pretty tight. So that's step number one. And I'm gonna go ahead and clean it just like before. And Zachary, you can come turn this way just so you can see what I'm doing here. So we're going to clean it like normal, clean it like standard. Now when I get to this bar here, I don't want to kind of just stop right here. What I do is I'll go ahead and just turn my triumph blade sideways so I can get behind the door handle. Same thing here. And I haven't come across it yet, but whoopa, don't try to catch that. And then I come up underneath, and again, I'll get up underneath the door handle from the bottom, and then this way I always catch enough overlap that I'm actually scraping behind the door handle. What you don't want to do is you don't want to clean this beautiful thing and then like have a line of dirt right behind the door handle. And theoretically, you could two-piece this if you wanted to, but I don't like the two-piece. It looks lame. All right. Scraping's done. Now we squeegee. The timing of this is that I'm directly in the sun right now. And my squeegee, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it down and get behind the door handle, just like that. I gotta work a little quickly just because we are kind of in the sun a little bit, so it's going to end up tacking a little bit quicker than I like. All right, let's go ahead and wipe down the sides. And I'm going to be overlapping this side because this is the side with the gap between the door handle and the frame. So I'm just going to wipe this off as well. Wipe the top of the door handle. Wipe the bottom of the door handle. Now come down the sides. Again, the side that I'm going to overlap, I just want to clean a little extra so that if this is contaminated or dirty and my film lays on it, it's not going to bring contamination into my workspace. Okay, so we're pretty much ready to rock. Let me go ahead and grab my film. And as you can see here, we marked it, we're in room 3. That's 27 inches wide, 73 inches long. 27 inches this is a 26.5 inch frame. So we get really, really close with these. If you don't get it close, you're not gonna have any success because it ends up getting bunched up. You end up creasing the film and it ends up becoming a nightmare. So this is the easiest way to be able to do this. Before we could only do this with 2 people, but like, sometimes it's silly to bring 2 people for 1 door. So we're gonna do this install solo dolo. Come on. Of course, I take the longest one on camera. Okay, simple reverse roll method. I'm gonna wet it, and then just make sure that liner's tight. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna feed out about a foot or so, maybe a little more, right there. And you'll see why. Spray down behind the door handle. Make sure everything's wet. Now the reason why I went about a foot more is what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up from underneath and get this film flat against the glass. I'm gonna feed that corner up and then I'm gonna grab it up here. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to just feed it up through this door handle. This is gonna probably be the hardest part for you. So just take your time, don't crease the film. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to turn the corner and get this film fed up here. Remember I told you to clean the side? That's why right here. Okay, so now I'm here. I'm gonna feed the film into that gap. Like I said, I'm gonna keep this side flush. So only one side is coming. So what we can do here is we can kind of just pull it up and let the film unroll. Unroll, 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 unroll. And just take your time. And you can go ahead and just like let it drop. Now from here, we can grab it. I'm gonna pull straight up with it and line it up like so. Gonna line up my right side, whichever side you're doing it. So this door, I'm actually gonna be the other way. And then go ahead and tack the top so it doesn't move on you. Now we're gonna move down. This is why it's important that you're only a 1/2 inch, right? Because if I had even 1.5 inches on here, this would bunch up so much that I would end up creasing the film here. So I'm gonna pull it down, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull it the rest of the way down. Oh, it looks like we cut a little long on these ones. We usually cut only about 1 inch past the frame. Most likely, we were cutting other film with this, so sometimes we keep the waste there. I'm just going to adjust my bottom. Bring it up a little bit. All right, so pretty much we're good now. As you can see, we pulled the liner off. I'm gonna go ahead and squeegee it. I'm gonna show you guys how I cut behind the door handles. Business as usual here in this install, right at this point. Always squeegee up into about 1 inch to the edge where I'm gonna be cutting. Getting that pressure on the blade itself using my backhand to guide the squeegee forward. Also, you can use a handle. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the same technique. I'm gonna get my handle behind the door handle here, drop it as far as I can. Boom. Same thing on this side. Here. Now, I'm about halfway. I'm gonna come up underneath it, and then doing this so should give me enough overlap that I'm being able to squeegee everything without missing anything. I used to not relief cut like smaller frames, and I was looking at my work and noticed that like when I didn't relief cut, the corners looked all jammed up and kind of looked, it wasn't perfect. And I like to get as close to perfection as possible. So now I relief cut every window. I don't care how big or thick or thin the frame is. I relief cut everything. So I'm going to cut on my left side. So I'm going to use my left hand to cut instead of my right. For those of you guys that don't cut left hand, right-handed, start practicing. It's good for you because then you're not like cross-bodying. It becomes a pain in the butt sometimes, especially when you get into these bigger jobs. Hoppa. Make sure you have sharp blades, or else you do that. Finish off that squeegee. Now from here, what I suggest is that you get a knife with with longer blade in it, longer blade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up from underneath, get my knife right up against it, feed out the blade. So, and if you look on top, I'm pretty much right on top here. Here's my knife right there. So I'm able to come down and cut the rest of this. And that's how you cut behind the handle. And then from here, Zachary, if you could come this way. From here, I'm going to find where my cut end, which was right there, and then kind of just marry up where my cut ended last time. Boom. Just like that. Now I just got to tack down this side. Let's see here. Boom, almost done here. Last but not least, bump all the edges, and we are done. Bumping all the edges is gonna drive out that little bit of extra excess moisture. Any excess moisture will create fingers. Fingers that pop up basically are a vacuum for contamination, and then you end up getting dirty installs on the edges. We don't want that. We're professionals here. All right. That's pretty much it. If you can stand right here, Zachary, watch it. Stuff here. So yeah, so if you guys do this correctly, the biggest part of this is measuring correctly. Make sure you measure the width of the frame itself and don't go any further than the depth of the frame when you add additional. So this is 7/8. I wouldn't have gone more than 7/8, but I only added a 1/2 inch, and you saw I had a little bit here. So key also, find the side that has the gap. If we're gonna do this door, then the gap actually changes because I don't have a gap here, and I do have a gap right there. So I'll isolate which side has the gap, and then that's it. If you guys have any questions, concerns, shout outs, make sure to hit it in the comments below. If not, I'll see you next time.